Saxon Math Course 2. We are in lesson 39, and we are going to be dealing with something called proportions. Proportions. I know that you guys know about proportions because you have a plate at home and you fill it with food. And if you are first in line, you fill yours full of food and leave everybody else with just a little bit. Or maybe you buy a Snickers bar and you're supposed to share it with your sibling and you cut it like this. This is yours and this is theirs. Proportions, right? Well, that might be for you, okay? But we are going to be talking about proportions that are equal. All right, so consider the fraction 16 over 20 and 4 over 5. If you have 16 over 20, if you reduce that, that does equal 4 over 5 because 5 times 4 equals 20. So 4 times 16, right, is equal to 4. So the reduced fraction. So 16 or 20 and 4 over 5, same. But I want you to notice this relationship. And I'm going to skip to green here and I'm going to show you this. I've drawn arrows through the opposite sides of these fractions. So notice this relationship. 5 or 20 times 4, not 20 times 5. Okay? Notice the arrow. I want to go this direction. 20 times 5, and I want to go this direction. 5 times 16. And notice what they both equal. They both equal 80, which tells me that this fraction, or this times this, and 20 times 4 and 16 times 5 both equal 80, which means that if I don't know a proportion, I can figure it out. All right, so that's what our lesson is all about today. So let's go to the first example. Example number 1 gives us a proportion which says 12 over 20 equals n over 30. All right, we've learned in the past that we look at what times 20 equals 30. Well, in this case, it's not that simple. So here's what I want you to learn. First of all, I want you to multiply the two numbers, or the number and the unknown together. And you know what that looks like? 20n. That's what that looks like. Well, what does that equal? It equals 12 times 30. These two multiplied together. Okay, so we're going to have to do some work over here. Okay, let's multiply 12 and 30, and 360. So 20n equals 360. Now, how do we get n by itself? It's really simple. We divide by 20 on both sides. That cancels out, and guess what's left over? N equals 360 divided into 20. Well, we can cancel those zeros right away, and we know that 2 goes into 36 how many times? We know that's 8. So n equals 18. All right, so we can put that back in the fraction and say 12 over 20 equals 18 over 30. And our number is 18. Okay, let's do it again, but just another example. Okay, example 2 puts the number on the denominator, or the unknown. So 15 over x equals 20 over 32. All right, let's cross multiply. So I'm going to say 20x equals, and then I've got to multiply this one, which is 15 times 32. All right, let's do the first one and multiply those out. Add them together, and we have 480. So 20x equals 480. We divide by 20, and we divide by 20. Whatever we do on this side of the equation, we have to do on this side of the equation. That leaves x by itself because those 20s cancel. All right, so let's do 480 divided by 20. We know this goes in twice, which is 40, and we're left with 80, and that means it's going to go in 24, which means our answer is 24. So 15 over 24 equals 20 over 32. That's our answer. All right. I think you understand kind of the concept here. It's kind of about just doing these over and over. One other example that they give in your textbook involves a decimal. What do we do with example number 3? And that's found on page 282. So this time they give x over 1.2, 1 and 2 tenths, and that equals 6 over 4. All right, same thing. We're going to cross multiply, and we're going to say 4x equals 1.2 times 6. All right, now let's multiply 1.2 by 6, and let's come up with the answer there. We know 6 times 2 is 12, and then that is going to be 7. So we know it's 7.2, okay? So let's rewrite this and say 4x equals 7.2. We divide by 4. We divide by 4. The 4's over here cancel off. So 4 divided into 7.2, we know that it is 32, and that means it's 1.8. So x equals 1.8. All right? Same process, it's just with a decimal. Now when you have decimals, just make sure that you keep your decimals here in the division problem in the same line. That way you can get the right answer. Okay, that's your lesson 39.